G'day YouTube, hope you're having a fantastic morning or evening depending where you are in the world. It's a beautiful spring day here in Sydney. Weather's finally starting to warm up. It's bright, it's sunny, but it's still not stinking hot yet, thankfully. I thought I'd do a video today on your more beginner nepenthes. Good starter plants, things if you're just getting into the hobby, it would be really good as a first plant. And then I thought I'd bring out a couple of others that might be a little bit more expensive than your standard starter plants to show you. And these I also believe would be good beginner plants if you wanted to get something a bit more interesting than your standard ventricosa or Rebecca Soper. So let's jump in and have a look. So the first one you got here, I'm trying to get some sunlight on it, is a Rebecca Soper. Now this is actually a cutting of my first ever nepenthes. You see I've sort of let it droop out of the pot a bit. I probably should have staked it. A nice little basil starting there. And you will find these from anywhere from 20 to 30 or 40 bucks, depending where you are, depending on the size of the plant. And they are just fantastic, easy growing plants to get started on. Another good beginner plant, so we can get some focus there, is your typical ventricosa. This is actually hopefully going to be a nicer one. I made the seeds myself, and so it's a red cross hot lips. So I'm assuming once these start to mature, they'll be nice deep red pitchers. You can see they're starting to get a bit of colour. At this immature size though, they do tend to not show off the colours as much. Red leopard is another really common one you'll find floating around garden centres, things like that. Which I've got a big one in the tree over there, but it was too big to get down and bring over here. My aircon's just kicked on in the greenhouse. This, although looks exactly like your standard red leopard, I'm imagining it's actually going to be quite a lot bigger than that, with the red leopard being a cross between ventricosa and maxima. This one was a couple of my mates made together. It's it doesn't want to focus today, but ventricosa cross truncata and then cross maxima. So red leopard gets pitches the size of a Coke can already and just as wide. I'm imagining this plant will be absolutely massive when it fully matures. So those are your sort of real starter beginner plants. But if you're looking for something a bit more interesting, anything in the Maxima cross Veitchii range, and this is a nice Maxima Dark cross Veitchii Barrio. It's the flared peristome one from Exotica Plants. They won't be as cheap as the ventricosa and Rebecca Soper, but just a nice. They're a super tough plant, and this grows just over there with my truncatas and everything in the backyard, hence why it looks a little bit beat up. Got a little bit of sun damage when I first moved it out, something scratched at it, maybe a possum or something, but it's settled in nicely. This is a long time favourite of mine. This was an old EP hybrid. It was a Boschiana cross Fusca cross Veitchii. The Fusca in it is more likely to be Zachariana with the change of taxonomy, but I won't go into all of that. And as for good hardy species, this is a stunning Veitchii I brought out. These particular ones from the Malibu Basin might not be the easiest to source or the cheapest, but you can from time to time pick up a nice simple Veitchii relatively cheaply. Again, it's going to be a bit more expensive than your ventricosas, etc. But again, it's a good hardy plant. This one does grow in the greenhouse, but I've recently put another one on the tree there. I'll see if I can zoom in just for... Oh, doesn't let me zoom in. That's right. But I've put one on the tree out there because this is the tree climbing, well, supposedly the tree climbing form. So hopefully in a year or two it'll start wrapping its leaves and climbing itself up the tree. Another nice easy species. This is a seed-grown Boschiana I have. Again, from a mate of mine made the seeds in his greenhouse, and these have just gone absolutely gangbusters. I think they're about a year and a half old. This is a bigger one that I kept for myself. Probably needs a few of the dead leaves trimmed off. I'll turn it around so I can get some light on the picture. But just a really nice little plant. And this here is Lowlii ventricosa from EP. So the camera's having a hard time focusing today. So, but this here is got to be one of the hardiest hybrids. Anything with ventricosa in it is nice and hardy, but with the Lowlii parentage, this becomes an absolutely stunning plant. I have grown this outside in Sydney for quite some years. They went back into my greenhouse when I moved, but I've moved one of them outside and I've actually got to get into the greenhouse and move the larger one out. I've just got it tied up against that tree behind me. It's one out there's about 2.5 meters tall now, so I just didn't have room in the greenhouse for it. But while we're here, I'll take you in for a look in the greenhouse. The fog are going, aircon's going, fans are going. It's all happening in here. Have a couple of other options. This is a sibling to the Boschiana fusca veitchii. The one outside is a cutting off my main plant that lives outside, but it's that one's male and this one's actually a female. So I'm very excited to be able to use it in both sides of the breeding. Eventually, you can see I've got my pollinating brushes and tweezers and things in that pot. Berkii aristolochoides is definitely an easier one with some very more interesting shaped pictures from that aristolochoides parent. Rocco cross Boschiana cross veitchii is a super easy grower. This thing, I'm sure I could chuck this outside and it would just go nuts as well. Again, more veitchii. This is the veitchii M form from Exotica. These are just spectacular. You see basiling going everywhere. M cross or K cross M. Now some of these will be a lot more on the expensive side for these beautiful red candy striped ones, but if you can find a more simple one, you should be able to pick them up fairly cheaply. What else have I got in here? Truncata is another good one. Anything with truncata in it, actually. This one got a bit burned. I got it from a friend, and I put it outside with the rest of my truncatas, but I didn't think about the fact that it had come from an indoor greenhouse. It hadn't seen actual sunlight for a good few years, so that one's my fault. So I've moved it back in here. You can see the new leaves coming in nicely, but it will go back outside eventually once it puts on some growth and recovers a bit. This is the bigger Lowlii cross ventricosa. As you can see, this thing is just covered in pictures. This is just off the one vine. Another one there. I think there's actually a couple more up in the back there. So as you can see, it's just a prolific grower once it settles in. Basils covered in these beautiful Lowlii like pictures. This one particularly seems to it has more of a warped shape to it. The other one I showed you outside and the one I've got growing outside is my red one. The picture body holds a lot more red through the life of the picture, where this one gets more green but holds the candy striping nicely. So I've got two nice forms of that, and it's just a great hybrid. So not very dark. This is a Maxima Dark Upper. Maxima again, super easy plant. I'm not sure which of these is that is probably Maxima Cross Taliensis, which is an easy one as well. You can see there's a little lower picture just about to pop in there. I've got to get in here and clean this up. I'm actually going to move them out of my greenhouse, and behind that is a Maxima Dark lower picture. I can't really get in there at the moment, but this does need to be addressed. It's just a mess of vines in the back there. They come up, hit the roof there. They're vining through there. You can see I've taken some cuttings off Maxima Dark there. And Maxima Cross Taliensis is all the way up through here. And this is one you will pick up nice and cheaply. You know, sort of 35, 40 bucks for a good size cutting. And once they settle in, they just go ballistic. This actually, the stem or the vine snapped on this maybe a year or so ago. And as you can see, it just kept going. Right, so I think that's all I can really think of for nice, super easy growing plants. Another nice veitchii in there. There's, just to top off the video, I might touch on a couple that I would probably avoid as beginner plants. So down here in my highland section, you got things like the Hamada, which again, it just doesn't want to focus properly today. These are just a beautiful plant, but if you don't have good highland conditions, yeah, I'm in an air-conditioned greenhouse here, I probably wouldn't suggest trying these. So you got Hamada, the Jamban in front, Aristolochoides. Oh, I do not know what's going on with my focus today. But anyway, nice lolii there. Mollis, formerly Harreliana. But yeah, that off with a few of those. For those in Australia, I am working on some more cuttings of some of those easier growing plants. It's getting a bit warm and humid in here. So there will be some available at some point. If you haven't already, jump on and hit like and subscribe. I'm trying to build the channel up here, and the more support I get, the more I'll be able to share tips and information. And as always, if there's anything you want to see or know more about, feel free to either comment on here or hit me up on Instagram. Thanks. Bye.